Hey guys, welcome back to Maleceptor Gaming Studios. I'm Craig.
And I'm Connor.
And you guys asked for it, so here it is. This is part 2 of our Crusher Stampede power combo video. This is turning into not necessarily power combos of niche senses, but it seems like every monster has got a new lease of life, and we're just going to touch on each one in a small, almost a mini deep dive about how you can amplify them and where they fit into the Crusher Stampede list. So this video, we're going to cover a lot more. Still no Forge World. That will be probably a part 3. And then once we're done with part 3, chapter approved 2022 should be out, so we can start doing lists with the new point values. I didn't want to jump into lists too soon and then have all the points change. I'm like, well, we gotta make the video over again. So we're waiting for that. That's why we haven't done any lists yet. So before we dive in, if you guys are looking forward to this content, of course, please like and subscribe to stay up to date on everything we do here. And if you do want to support the growth of our channel, do consider becoming a member. We've got a lot of great members on the Discord. You get access to that and private exclusive videos.
And you get shout outs and battle reports.
Absolutely, you get shout outs for those too. So now, with all that out of the way, let's dive into today's video.
All right, you guys, so today, as Craig said, it's part 2 of the Crusher Stampede mini deep dive, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be covering some specifics on Carnifexes, Maleceptors, Tyrannofexes, Toxicrenes, Raveners, and then we're going to go over a little conclusion at the end. This obviously is not a full codex, but it feels like a lot of stuff.
There's a lot to it now.
There's a lot to it.
We'll see what happens in the future, but
yeah.
We'll go into the Carnifexes. So there are four kinds of Carnifexes we have now. We have the standard close combat, you have standard shooty, of course you have screamer killers, the Stranglethorn guys, which I always forget because I never take them.
Right.
Thornbacks, there they are. So I was looking at the Carnifexes, how to make them useful. Unfortunately, with all these buffs, your standard close combat Carnifexes still are just not great.
No?
Just the strength 6 is a big thing holding them. Now they are better. You know, -1 damage, 5-up invuln save is great.
Yeah.
They're just, I don't think the close combat ones are great compared to every other option in the codex.
It's unfortunate. I've always loved Carnifexes.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
used to use them a lot against me, and that strength 6.
The strength 6.
It's tough.
Now, there are some ways around that. So we'll look at first for the standard Carnifex. I think the shooty platforms do have some play. Will they be in the top tournament list? Probably not, but we'll go over some options. So first you have the standard dock effects, which you take ×2 of the Devourers or the Death Spitters. So you have 12 or 24 shots, whatever flavor you like. You could mix in a Venom Cannon if you want some anti-tank punch. They're okay. I think they're a little unreliable with D3 shots. And then, of course, you can take Enhanced Senses, so you can have a base 3-up ballistic skill on them to make them more reliable. And I picture these guys as your mid to backfield objective holders, because now they do count as, 8 models on the objective.
Yeah, true.
They'll come in at about 120, 130 points, depending on how you load them out.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. And then you take a block of 3 of them maybe, and then they branch out and they all go to their own objectives, and it's just something your opponent has to deal with.
Yeah.
And with -1 damage and a 5-up invuln save, they're going to be a lot more annoying to deal with than they were before. So that's how I think the shooty Carnifexes are going to play out in this. Maybe in chapter 2022 we'll get some point decreases on them.
Yeah.
Maybe make them even more competitive. But then if you do want close combat, we're going to dive into Forge World. I lied. This is the only Forge World model we will touch today, but it's important to go over. So we have Stone Crusher Carnifexes.
Yeah.
These things are absolutely nasty, and again, with all the buffs, they can be very good. First thing to note about these guys, why they are so much better than the other ones, is that they are base strength 7. Ooh. So that alone helps a lot. They do pay for it in the fact that they cannot take the normal upgrades, so they can't take -1 to hit or any of the other bone tails, whatever you want.
Adrenal gland toxin sacks?
Can't take any of that.
Okay.
They are fixed to what they have.
Okay.
But you can go with these loadouts. So They are Record Claws. Those are the big ones you guys see on the picture. They're like mega crushing claws. They're strength times 2. So they're strength 14. And if they are attacking vehicles or monsters, they are damage 5. Everything else, they're damage 3, just like a crushing claw. But against a vehicle or monster, they're damage 5.
Wow.
Now they do still have a lot of their bonuses on the charge, and they're actually a little bit better than standard Carnifexes. So they still get +1 to hit, so hitting on 3s. They deal D3 mortal wounds on a 4+ when they charge in, so just like old One Eye. And that could be paired great with the Breaking Through strat, which is the 1 CP. When a monster charges, you roll the number of dice equal to how many wounds you have, and you compare the strength or toughness on a 3, 4, or 5, you deal mortal wounds.
Right.
So you have a potential to deal against a standard vehicle. On our average, they're like 6 mortal wounds before you even swing against it.
And I mean, you also damage 5.
Almost, yes, you're damage
Strength
5.
14, yeah.
And then,
Interesting.
with dual crushing or dual Record Claws, I didn't mention this, but you do reroll all your hits. You only have 4 attacks.
It's not -1 to hit.
It's not -1 to hit.
Whoa.
It is 4 attacks. Now we're Tyranids now in Crusher Stampede, so you have a psychic power to give them D3 extra attacks. So you could bump that up to 6 on average, or 7 if you're getting lucky. And then you can use our great strat for 1 CP to reroll all failed wound rolls. Now you're rerolling all hits, rerolling all wounds, and these things are only 115 points. Downside again is that you can only take 1 per heavy support slot.
1. Oh, you don't take them in a brood?
You cannot take them in broods.
Oh.
That is one of the things I like the least. Actually, this is the thing I like the least about them, is that they take a whole heavy support slot.
I wonder why they would do that. Just because they're strong.
I guess just to limit you from taking blocks of them. But if you could have taken 2, that would have been great. But yeah, 1 heavy support slot, so it's not great.
Yeah.
They do have a second weapon. They have a Bioflail, which is you get ×2 attacks, and they're damage 2 weapons at +1 strength, -1 AP.
Well, that's nice though.
It's still good.
Kill Space Marines.
But it's just 1 flail, and then you have a flail and a claw. You don't have 2 flails.
Oh, it replaces one of the claws?
It replaces one of the claws. So you lose the reroll hits, and you could still swing with the claw. It's good, but I kind of like just going all in on the claws and just making sure they are a missile towards vehicles.
Seems like that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. And I did the math. They do have the potential. If you use the rerolling wound strats, you get the psychic powers off.
Oh, yeah.
And potentially using Breaking Through, you can drop a knight in 1 turn with these guys.
I mean, I was going to say that before I even read it on there.
It comes down to the math is, can they make slightly higher than average on their armor saves? Because they're only AP -3, so a knight gets a 6-up save.
Oh, okay.
So on average, you'll do your 5 wounds, and if they roll 1/6 in there, then they're alive.
But the mortal wounds,
they don't get saves against that.
Right.
Yeah. So because if they on 5 wounds go through, they save one that's only 20 wounds.
And then
And then
Okay.
So it's close, but I do think Stone Crusher Carnifexes are very good. I am looking to acquire 2 of them, 1 or 2 of them at least, because I want them in the arsenal.
They're only 115 points. I mean, I know they're not that hard to kill, but with Crusher Stampede rules, they're much harder to kill.
Yeah. I picture, Swarmlord sending 1 up a turn, just sending a missile towards
It's a living missile.
It is.
As Tyranids are supposed to be.
It's a living battering ram, really.
Battering ram, yeah.
So then we'll touch on Old One Eye, because he is the king of the Carnifexes.
Yeah.
He is an absolute blender, as he's always been. He's just now more durable, and he can get more attacks. So again, he can have 5. He has 5 attacks. If you can have 5 attacks, right? Yeah, 5 attacks. Get D3 extra attacks because of the psychic power. If you get that off, and he has +1 to hit, +1 because he's a Carnifex, +1 if he charges. So even if with Crushing Claws you're hitting on 2s,
no matter what, basically.
No matter what, unless they have a -1 built in. And if that's the case, they're probably not a vehicle, so you would go with the Scything Talons, because it would be the smarter choice anyway.
True.
Then you're reeling ones to hit.
Yeah.
So you can hit on 2s. 5 pluses grant extra attacks. Now, because we're on Codex, you still have to roll for that. So now you're thinking 5 plus D3 attacks, hitting on 2s, 5s and 6s get you extra attacks, which you have to roll for again.
So on the lower end of that, you're getting 2 extra attacks.
2 extra attacks.
Yeah.
Yep. Probably, I think it's 2 or 3, but still.
So 10 attacks?
5 not quite.
Oh, no.
No, you're looking at
9.
7 or 8.
Yeah.
7 or 8 attacks.
Okay. Well, still.
Still, that's good.
Yeah.
And then his are only damage 3, but still, you know, that's okay. And then you can put the Psychic Power, because he's not a Synapse creature, you can put the Psychic Power on him if you really want to reroll failed hit rolls. I don't think you need it, because he's already hitting on 2s.
Yeah.
You can pay the 1, and you probably do want to pay the 1 to reroll failed wound rolls.
Yes.
And, I mean, it just makes him good. On average, he does kill a Redemptor Dreadnought in one go.
It's pretty nice.
And that includes using the mortal wound. On a 4+, he does D3 mortal wounds.
Lovely.
So, Old One-Eye, great. He is a little expensive on the points. He's like 220, I think. So he's just a little cheaper in Swarmlord. I would love to see that go down in Chapter Approved.
Seems a little bit much, but I mean, this makes it a little more worth it.
And he does get character protection via other Carnifexes. So,
oh yeah,
if you're gonna bring Carnifexes, bring him, and then
especially in a big game.
In a big, for sure.
Just do it. Just bring him.
And then one more thing to note: this goes for all of our monsters, but especially on these ones, we do have access to transhuman physiology on our monsters. And because Carnifexes have less than 10 wounds, for them it is just 1 CP, which can go a long way on the Carnifexes, specifically the Stone Crushers.
It's like a whole different army, it feels like.
Whole new world.
It's just a different thing.
So that is the Carnifexes.
Wow.
We'll see how Chapter Approved shakes out their points. I would love to see a 5 to 10 point drop on at least Old One-Eye and the standard Carnifexes.
Yeah.
I totally understand if the Stone Crushers stay the point level they are at.
Yeah.
So now,
Maleceptor.
This one's going to be a lot less talking because he's much more straightforward.
Sure.
He's just our big key support bug, really.
He's an elite slot, as you know.
That's big because we only have, you know, if you're taking a battalion, your monsters are only in your heavy support and your elite and your HQ.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to fill out as many monsters as possible.
True.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah. He is a Synaptic Link. Well, Synaptic Link is key for many bugs.
He has a Synaptic Link.
Right.
Yes.
His is the damage.
Reroll damage.
Reroll damage.
And then 6s to wound are an extra AP.
So, I mean, if you're going for the Trigon, what do you call it? The Trigon Death combo?
The Mega Trigon,
Trigon combo. This guy is a must-have.
Yep.
Yeah, it affects Tyrannofexes a lot with the Rupture Cannon?
Rupture Cannon or the Flamers, damage D3, so.
Yeah, Toxicrene, for obvious reasons, the Toxicrene is swingy.
Damage
so
D3,
rerolling the damage is amazing. Hyperspecs, same thing. Trigon, we discussed.
Yep.
Hiveguard, our Hiveguard.
Hiveguard.
And if you can make them better, you probably should.
Yeah.
If you're trying to win. And you think bring multiple of them. Or
if you're bringing, I'd say if not, only want one. I think you only ever need one Maleceptor, but if you're bringing multiple monsters that have a lot of D3 or the D6 damage, like the ones we just mentioned, I would definitely consider bringing one of them.
And how many points is Maleceptor base?
With the Synaptic Lynch, which is why you're bringing him, is 185. So he's a little pricey.
So you probably shouldn't bring more than one.
No, never. Never.
Okay.
He can hold backfield objectives.
Definitely.
Because you need something to do that in the Crusher Stampede list.
True, and you don't want him in combat, so...
I mean...
Generally.
You generally don't.
Especially, actually, I would say, especially in a Crusher Stampede where you have stuff you're
other things
building for combat.
If he's going up against a transport, maybe he can do it, but yeah.
Well, he could probably do something.
Yeah. and
then Psychic.
So one thing that's important with the Crusher Stampede is we can't mix and match our Psychic powers. So your Psychers have to be all Hive Mind discipline or all the Crusher discipline.
For the whole...
Not for the whole army, just Psycher by Psycher.
Psycher by... Oh,
so you want maybe your Hive Tyrants have all the Crushers, the offensive Crusher Stampede ones, but you still need those key support powers like Onslaught and Catalyst.
Of course.
And Paroxysm potentially. Maleceptor is perfect because he knows one of those powers and he gets +1 to cast it.
Yeah.
So you can give him Catalyst. Is one of my favorites, Catalyst or Onslaught.
Of course.
And then he can just be his own thing, casting that one power reliably.
Cool.
And supporting your bugs in the background.
Sweet.
I love him.
He's a simple one.
He's very simple, straightforward. He's already had a 4-pin bone save, so the -1 damage on top of him is great.
True.
and Synapse is good. So
Cool.
yeah, Maleceptor, very good.
Streamlined little bug.
Tyrannofex. This one has also, like all of our monsters, been very improved.
Yes.
He already benefited from being one of the more durable monsters at toughness 8 and 14 wounds.
Yep.
Now the 5-up invuln save and reducing damage will help go a long way. They will still die, but they will go a long way. I will stand by this. I tried him out a couple times. Now I've tried out the Rupture Cannon. I will still stand by. I do not like it. It's too many points.
You did it with the Maleceptor?
Yes.
Really? When was that?
Against
Sam
in the Crusher Stampede.
Okay.
With the Maleceptor. You can do the Maleceptor or you can do Bioweapon Bond to make them a little more accurate. I just don't like the swinginess of how they are. Some people love them. Some people, I mean, the model is sweet.
Of course.
The big gun sitting in the back, but the D6 damage and the hitting on 4s.
And 2 shots? 4 shots?
3 shots, and if you stand still, 6 shots. Which sounds good, but yeah. I much prefer the acid spray.
I mean, acid spray is really good.
It's really good, and then you pair it with the Maleceptor. You don't really have to worry about hit rolls.
Yeah.
And you just do the damage.
Yeah.
I think they are great for, depending on your opponent, a mid to backboard objective holder, because he sits there, he counts as 14 wounds on that objective.
Yeah.
And then if anything wants to charge him or get near him, he has a giant flamer, and once he's on that objective, you don't move him for the rest of the game, because then he gets to double tap it.
I would say midfield for sure.
Yeah.
Just because, like, you have to deal with it.
Most likely midfield is just if your opponent has an aggressive army, then maybe you keep them back as a don't come too close type of thing. But yeah, definitely turn 1, just get them up there onto the midfield, let them soak up that first round of shooting, and then they just sit there. Because you're going to be using these to go after infantry, heavy infantry most likely. So even if they go down to the lowest bracket, they're still strength 5, and that's plenty to deal with the infantry.
Well, it's even good for light tanks too.
It can be. It can definitely be good for tanks.
Yeah.
Like we said, all around good durability, and he's only 175 points, which I think a pair of those is a solid option in Crusher Stampede.
The new rules make some of this stuff seem cheap. You know, like
some of it
I wouldn't have said that is
cheap before.
Right, but now he's toughness 8, 14 wounds with a 3-up 5++.
And reduced damage.
I don't know. I'm afraid, that's for sure.
It's good. So that's those. Now we'll go into the squiggliest of them all.
True.
The Toxicrene.
Would you say him or the Venom Thrips are more squiggly? I guess he's bigger.
Ooh.
He's bigger.
Are we going off of proportionality or overall size?
How you feel in your brain? Like, who do you think is more squiggly?
I think the Venom Thrips, I guess, if we're going off that, because their
whole body is
squiggly. But these guys have huge tentacles.
This is important. Let us know in the comments down below.
Who is the squiggliest?
Yeah.
So, previous downfalls of this guy is his weapon skill degrading, roughly. He had no way to reroll hit rolls, and he had meh durability at just a 3-up save, toughness 7.
Yeah.
But, like most monsters, he's got all of this new durability. So the 5-up invuln and the -1 damage, okay, durability check.
Yep.
Psychic powers, this is the biggest one. So you have the D3 extra attacks, so now you can get up to 9 attacks on the Toxicrene. You can have a 4-up invuln save, so now you can really add the durability on. And there's a psychic power to give him full rerolls to hit. So even if you're hitting on 5s, you still have those juicy rerolls.
Wow.
Again, 150 points.
It doesn't seem that bad anymore.
I think 1 or 2 of these is great.
Yeah.
The way I picture this, you could use an adaptive physiology to give them damage D3 +1. You could give them the one so if they kill models, they heal wounds, like accelerated digestion.
Yeah.
Try and keep their wounds up. Or you could just not use any of them because he could get away with none of them.
Yeah.
He will struggle in the damage if you don't have the D3 +1, but still it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
The way I picture him, because he's fast, is using turn 1 Swarmlord to send this thing up the board, and he's in your opponent's face.
Get stuck in.
Tie up some objectives. Remember, he still has the strat on a 2+, they cannot fall back from him. So he can, infantry cannot fall back from him.
Right.
Or is it infantry. Infantry. They can't fall back from him. Which means if you can find a small target or something, keep him locked up, then he's safe there, and then they really have to find a way to deal with him.
God, imagine Tau or Guard if you get that strat off.
These guys against Tau, them coming out, you absolutely want to fire one of these off at the Tau because they hate this thing.
You have your buddy showing off his new strength 14, averaging
12 gun.
damage 12 railgun, and you're just like, nope, I'm stuck in combat with it.
He will not die from railgun because it is reduced damage by 1. So if that railgun goes off, he's alive on 1 wound.
It's still impressive that one shot from a railgun can get something down to 1 wound, though. But yeah.
But if you put the 4-up info and save on him, now you got a 50-50 chance of that. Really, because
the railgun ignores. Just in that situation, the railgun ignores invones. But yeah.
Oh.
But that was just a specific example.
Okay, well, it's important to know.
Yes, but 4-up invuln is great against everything else.
4-up invuln is great against everything else in the army.
Yes. Totally.
Yeah. So getting up there, chewing on the fire warriors or something that are in the front line, keeping them locked
what you
up
want
there.
them to do.
Because all you need is just a 10-man squad, kill 5 of them.
Yeah.
And then they're locked there. Then on your turn, you kill the rest of them.
Yeah.
And he has free reign to charge whatever he wants the following turn.
Or even worse, they are not deep striking. They're a massive blob of crisis suits.
Ooh.
And you get them stuck in.
Mm-hmm. Crisis suits have 4 wounds. We'll have 4 wounds now. If you had the D3 plus 1 damage on there, you could pop one after another crisis suits. Even then, 2 attacks apiece is enough to kill a crisis suit.
It's a pretty juicy target if you can get to it with this guy.
So these might be good against the new Tau. Time will tell when they come out.
And Guard.
And Guard.
Yeah.
They're always good against Guard.
Yep.
But I do like the Toxicrene. I think I like the Carnifexes more than the Toxicrene right now. A little bit extra durability and a little more damage potential.
Yeah.
But he's still really cool.
Yeah.
I think now we just have one more. We're going to talk about one small unit. Small unit.
Snakes.
The small snakes of the Raveners.
Yeah.
This is another unit I think is going to be really good. I'm having my fingers crossed that we get a 1 to 2 point drop on them in chapter approved because they need it. But they're still pretty good.
It does seem like you now at least have ways to make them usable. Mm-hmm. Whereas before you got all these, even before Crusher Stampede, before you had, what's the new
Leviathan?
Before you had the Leviathan update, you can't really do anything with these guys.
The best thing you could do with them is take
just have attacks. That's it.
Attacks, take a custom high fleet to get potentially AP -2 on them.
Extra AP.
And that's about it.
And now you can, let's get into it.
Yeah, so the 5-up invuln save basically turns these guys into Gene Stealers. They're just bigger Gene Stealers.
More investment per guy.
More investment per point.
Per model.
Yeah, you're right. So if you want to go with a Ravener with Rending Claw, so we'll do compared, is 4 attacks with 3 wounds apiece in a 5-up invuln save and a 12-inch movement, where a Gene Stealer is 13 points for a 4 or 3 attack model, depending on the base size. Still both hitting on 3s.
Squad size?
Squad size on these is max 9.
But for Gene Stealers, how do you get that extra attack?
10 plus.
10
so yeah,
plus
squad
guys.
size.
Okay, gotcha.
But you can't take Gene Stealers in this, so this could be your Crusher Stampede Gene Stealer group.
True.
Again, the 5-up is a huge. They don't get the reduced damage by 1, but they do get that. They're not Synapse, so you could give them full rerolls with the Psychic Power.
Oh.
If you want.
Cool.
But I think there are, we already talked about, but there are 3 main play styles. Do you want to look at the Raveners? The first one, again, I'm going to keep saying this, with Chapter 2022 coming out, the way to score secondary objectives is changing a bit. We know that you're not going to be able to retrieve Nachmund data, as it's going to be calling. Retrieve Octarius data will be retrieve Nachmund data. You cannot do that with Lictors anymore. You can, but it's a 1 in 6 chance, so is that like a 12.5% chance or something?
So I suppose this is the next replacement.
This is probably going to be a good replacement. It's 60 points versus 37 points.
But that's the the hand of cards they're dealing you,
Yep.
these new rules.
And it's only a 50-50, so maybe you want to take some bigger squads, but still, they pop up, they can do actions, or you start them on the table, they can zip up to the middle and do those objectives that require you to be in the middle of the board. I think some of those are going to be big plays for the Tyranids going forward.
Sure.
So you could do that. You could do a combat threat, take your big blocks of 9, run them with the Talons if you want to go for extra attacks.
Stack them with buffs.
You could stack them with buffs, give them the rerolling all failed hit rolls.
Yep.
You could give them pay 2 CP to change their high fleet into a custom high fleet.
Yeah.
Or just go with Rending Claws. Whichever one you want. The Scything Talons, you'll pay more CP in the long run for higher potential, but the Rending Claws, you have a higher point cost on them in the short term. So
Experiment
with them. You could also do a Shooting Bomb. I do not recommend this.
I didn't even know you could give them
They
guns.
can give them Death Spitters. They come out of their chest.
Oh.
So there are 3 different chest models for them.
I had
so
no
you
idea.
can give them the Spine Fist, the Death Spitters, or the regular just armor chest.
Weird.
So Death Spitter is a good gun. It's strength 5,
Yeah.
AP minus 1 damage, 3 shots. You could give all of them that for a 9-man squad to have, 27 shots? But
I mean, if you really like Raveners,
if you really want
and you want to
them,
go completely all in, then do
yeah,
it.
you could. They're 26 points a model when you do that.
Ooh.
And that is way too much. So I don't recommend it, unless they get a nice point drop, but I don't recommend it for the Raveners.
Yeah.
We'll see going forward. Definitely, I think taking 1 or 2, 3, 4-man blocks of these going forward is going to be a fun play. We haven't mentioned, what's his name? The Red Terror.
Oh, yeah.
He's technically buffed by gaining a 5-up info and save. I still think he's hot garbage, so...
Maybe in a narrative game.
In a narrative
or
game,
something.
he's only like 55 points, so if you're
Yeah.
really just looking for something...
If you got like a thematic Tyranid ambush board
Yeah.
or something.
But yeah, that's how I think these guys will be going forward. I do like them.
Yeah.
I have 9 of them. We'll have to see how they play going forward, but I think the Raveners have a place in potentially a lot, unless the Gene Stealer Cult take over their role, which that's another video.
That is.
That's a whole nother video.
Yeah.
So that's it for the conclusion. That was 5, 7 more units if you break up all the Carnifexes into individual units there. I think again, Crusher Stampede, this is a lot of fun. We're bringing back monsters to be terrifying. Yes, people are worried that Tau are going to start one-shotting our monsters, but I don't think it's that big of a deal.
-1 damage.
-1 damage will mean all of our
That helps.
all of our monsters but our Carnifexes will survive, at least on 1 wound.
With the railgun.
With the railgun.
Yeah.
But the railgun, I mean, it's only 1 shot.
1 shot.
And there's so many die rolls you gotta hit, you gotta wound.
Yep.
You're probably not getting an armor save. And then if you have any feel no pains you could put on things.
Yeah. There've also been some leaks about marker lights being different now, and we'll see. But
Yeah, I'm not too worried about Tau. The thing they hate the most is fast combat, and the thing Tyranids are best at more than almost any other army is fast combat.
I mean, Swarm Lord.
Swarmlord.
Just his ability.
Swarmlord is the key to beating Tau pretty much.
It really is.
As long as you can keep him alive.
Yeah.
So again, some monsters have benefited. The Carnifexes, mainly their close combat ones, they still are going to struggle. I think you can do it for fun, but if you're going to go to a tournament bringing standard close combat Carnifexes, I just don't think they're there right now, point-wise speaking.
Yeah.
And the last little bit. So we're going to do a part 3, 4, 5, all of this kind of this mini series we're doing within here of going into the Crusher Stampede. Last time I asked for 125 likes, I want to try that, and you guys blew it out of the water at almost 200.
Nice.
So if you want to do, we'll go for 150, and we will touch on the Forge World monsters and how to make the most out of all of them.
It's probably the most exciting.
They're
besides
probably the best ones.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people don't have access to Forge World, which is unfortunate. But people
still
do,
gonna talk about
and we're still gonna cover them because they are really good for the Tyranids.
Yeah.
So go for 150 likes this time. Cover the Forge Worlds, and then after that, Chapter 2022 will be out, and we will have to be able to start doing true lists, and we can see how did the Crusher Stampede shake up in the new meta of Chapter 2022.
Yeah.
So I think that's all we've got out of the way.
Cool.
Thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already, and do consider supporting the channel, the growth. It's been growing a lot. It's a lot of fun to see how this is growing, and looking forward to where we take it. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you next time here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios.
Thanks, guys.